Well, there's the cannon, which he may have been looking for last time, into that red, which will leave him a choice of 2 or even 3 options. But he didn't actually catch the red full on. That was the worry. He may be all right, led to the right corner, but it wasn't quite how he meant it.
30. 31.
So this turning into a really good chance now to clinch the frame. More work to do, but the reds are nice. Just a question of one positional shot here on a colour, which will open the whole thing up.
Well, well, well.
John Higgins, 31.
You might have heard my intake of breath there as he took that shot.
It always looked a bit on the high side, didn't it, as we would say. Now that's the right part of the pocket to aim at, but not that far up. It's the right jaw to go for. I think John didn't really consider the black knot going in. The disappointment was there for all to see. But he didn't leave too much. That's the only consolation, I think, from his point of view. And a chance for Ronnie to play a good safety. And he's certainly still in the frame, if he can.
No, it's a super shot. So delicately played.
A very good shot indeed. I have to say, that was not a shot that sprung to mind at the time. Very thin on that red. There's where the cue ball is, but worse than that is the direction he's got to go into the reds. He can't get to the main group. He can only get, I think, to the one on the right hand side of the table, if he can at all. Could be completely snookered here.
Has he got enough to reach? Oh well.
Foul and a miss. Ronnie,
The problem was he didn't want to hit it too hard and push the red over the middle pocket, so had to go that way. I wonder what Ronnie will do. There was a chance he would put him in again, but I just think that in the back of his mind he feels that John will just get the shot and play it better second time around. And take this red onto the top right. It's difficult. It's a half chance. I suppose where the black was, it was worth a risk worth taking, really. Shot to nothing. Although the red has come out a bit from the pocket, but John might take it on. So he has taken it on, and will anything go to the left centre there? Possibly down in the top left, I think. There's about 2 or 3 that'll go. And I'm sure that Ronnie will take one of them on. Once again, the black's over the pocket, which puts a lot of pressure on this red. If he can get it, he's got a chance. Played it with safety in mind, though, as you can see. Good cue ball. So from his point of view, the value is there. Now that long pot success has gone down to 14%. I'm not absolutely sure you could call that last one a long pot, but I'm not totally sure that tells the entire story of what we've seen. It's about my long pot success, I think, Mike. The last couple of years of my game.
I couldn't possibly comment. That was a clever shot by John.
Ronnie's got the option just to drop onto the red, but doesn't like to play negative shots. It doesn't really suit him. Always a risky shot, really, because you don't know exactly where the reds are going to finish up. as it happens, it may not be too bad. The red of the left of the 4, I don't think it'll pop to the right centre, or indeed up into the top right. So it's a bit of a head scratcher. Now, is he playing a 3-ball plant? He's certainly looking at those 3 reds. They're a long way apart, those reds. I think, again, he'll be playing it with safety in mind if he does take it on to get the cue ball right back. Well, he's playing it. What a shot.
1.
A lot of the players have been saying they might defect, play 9-ball pull. I think that was a 9-ball pull shot, wasn't it?
Or even 8-ball, actually, come to think of it.
That's something we see on the snooker table very often. It was well played. I think it looked easy from that low shot, but the fact is there's a huge gap between those reds. It was a tremendous shot.
It was indeed.
John Higgins, 8.
Well, it's an amazing game. He puts a 3-ball plant into the right centre, misses that into the left centre.
Funny old game, as has been said about many sports over the years. So 49 points the difference, but still a bundle on the table. Spread far and wide.
Yeah, and the reds are all on now. That was the only safe red, and that's in open play. So John has to be very careful, because even though he's got that lead, as you say, one chance, and it's possible that Ronnie would go favoured in the frame, because how could he miss? Those reds are everywhere. Dangerous shot this. That red has not gone over the left centre, but it easily could have. Now Ronnie may have a shot to pot a long red to the top left pocket. We see it again. That can go wrong, that shot. I can tell you, reds could easily land over a pocket. Don't really have full control of the object ball. Taking this red on, which is difficult. Well, that you would think spells the end of the frame.
That was a very high-risk strategy that Ronnie adopted there, wasn't it?
I'm not sure if he had any other shots though, Mike. It might just been the only shot he had. Didn't see too many safety shots, and I suppose he's thinking, well, if I go for this red, I've got a chance to win the frame. Whereas he could have played a safety and left John in, which would have been even more frustrating, I suppose.
Oh, unless John has another brainstorm and misses an easy red into the middle pocket as he did a couple of minutes back, it
7.
should be 3-2 to the Scotsman.
Eight. $13.
So this is frame ball.
14.
Yeah, it's not been a classic so far. These two players have done well to get here, played well in matches leading up to the final, and they're exchanging blows here, but there have been a few balls missed.
Thanks.
Ronnie's hardly potted anything at long range, but I don't think that'll last long.
$16. 17.
34 ranking titles between them, these two. 18
22.
for Ronnie, 16 for John. Ronnie's won the world title on a couple of occasions, John the once. Great records from both these players.
23. $27. 28.
Ronnie just looking on there. He'll be hoping to raise his game. This frame has been won for an awfully long time now. John Higgins just
35.
putting the finishing touches to it.
John Higgins, 35 in the frame.
35 and the frayed. The 35 added to the 45 which he got earlier before he missed that black, but he got the second chance, he took it, and so the Scotsman goes back into the lead as we take a break. It's John Higgins 3, Ronnie O'Sullivan 2. Final of Snooker's Grand Prix here at the Preston Guildhall, although of course there are still many frames to be played. 3-2 in his favour against Ronnie O'Sullivan as Ronnie
1.
gets the first red of frame number 6 on the board. Ronnie defending the title he won here for the first time actually last year. John won the Grand Prix first of all back in '94, one of his early titles, and then again in '99.
Obviously the pink won't go on its own spot cleanly, and all the other spots are occupied, so it goes below its spot in a direct line as far up as he can, not touching that red. Has to be a small gap. There's a small gap between this red and the black as well, but big enough for Ronnie to pot it. Good chance, this is probably his best chance for a while. He's got a little start of about 3 open reds, and then obviously he'll be going into the pack at some point. Now he's just shaping up on that pink, looking probably 2, maybe 3 shots ahead. If he can pot the pink, it'll be with a view to breaking up the reds even more. So he's thinking, well, probably won't be able to do it yet a while. There's that pink and the angle he's got to put it into the left corner.
15.
Probably 4 shots away, that is.
16.
Now he's looking at it once again. I mentioned earlier what a tremendous snooker brain he has, and he just sees shots incredibly quickly.
Yes, that was the genius of Alex Higgins many years ago, was it not?
23. 24.
Now what kind of angle did he have? Certainly enough to play that shot. Is he going to play it with screw or maybe stun into them? He's going to use force. Plenty of it as well. Well,
that's unfortunate.
Foul.
Desperate luck. The cue ball
Ronnie
jumped up
O'Sullivan,
in the air and
24,
almost
John
jumped
Higgins,
over the
6.
top of the pack. Might be worth seeing again. Maybe we'll get a chance to. But that cue ball, here it is again. Now this tremendous shot, the cue ball just was on top of those reds for a while, wasn't it?
No foul shot though, he'd hit the object ball correctly.
Yeah, the only time it's a foul, of course, Mike, as I'm sure you're aware, is if you're playing a jump shot over the object ball. You can do it in pool, but that shot is perfectly legal until, of course, he went in off in the middle, then it's a foul. I've seen players actually do that deliberately, play over the top of balls. It's quite a fine art. I've seen Davis do that, Steve that is, in his heyday. we've seen both players miss long pots today. It's been evident in the early exchanges. This is a tremendous chance for Ronnie now. Well, there's confirmation.
One.
That's extraordinarily low for Ronnie, and John's is a bit more in keeping with the standard.
Eight. 9. Sixteen. 17.
He's got at least 2 open reds to work with, which will take him close to the winning line in the frame, but perhaps not quite over the line. Certainly the red to the right of that little cluster will
22.
pop to the right corner. That's the one he's played on. Just looking at the other reds, I don't think they all go. Of course, he's got the one on the left of the table. And he'll need to go into the pack maybe again at some point to make the frame safe. That's his problem here.
28.
He's got a nice lead, but he's still got a bit of work to do. What will he play? If he plays down onto the black, he may have a shot to break a few open, but I don't think those reds will go anywhere as things stand. Well, there's a look at the reds towards the middle. I'm not too sure whether that one can be got to. He got a nasty
29.
kick, so that might affect his angle. He's not happy. He's annoyed, and he's changed his mind. Doesn't want the cue ball cleaned. I think he's disgusted with that. The problem there, of course, the red's gone in. You may think, well, what's the problem? The fact is, it's completely affected the angle in which he has to knock the black in and split the reds open. I'm not sure he can even do it now. So he's got to have a rethink. That's a possibility, but I don't think he's on a red. And that'll be frustrating because it wasn't his
36.
fault. There's no way he can get to that end red because the other red's in the way. So, unless something extraordinary happens, end of break. He'd like to push a red onto the side cushion if he could in playing safe. Is he playing this with side? He's attempting. I certainly looked at it to shape up with side, but
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 36.
bit of frustration there, I think. You can't legislate for a bad contact, which brings the break to a halt. John just got a safety shot, no possible here. Thin shot on this long red. I didn't want that. It's the worst thing that can happen when you're playing those safety shots, a full ball contact on a bulk colour. This means that Ronnie can get his hand on the table. But we've seen a stat already that says his long game has been particularly weak. Here's the shot before. John will be disappointed that to say the least. That full ball contact on the brown just may still have a chance because Ronnie hasn't been putting the long balls. Give him a better than even chance of getting this one though. Still not going in, Mike, are they?
I'm surprised. Over recent years, that's been one of Ronnie's hot potatoes, but not today.
I'm not sure what he's left. That red to the left centre would be much easier if the cue ball was 6 inches further back. He still may be able to pot it, but it's slightly tricky when it's so close. You can misjudge the angle.
One.
Well, that's his starter, Neil, but he's got a lot of work to do to get himself back into this frame. That was a very well judged red, by the way.
Yeah, you're right, he's got work to do, but I'll tell you what, Mike, one good shot going into those 4 reds would give him a tremendous chance. Just a question of creating that opportunity, isn't it? And he's not out of the frame by any means.
Needs an angle to come back up the table after he's potted this red, an angle off one of the colours. That's one option, off the brown.
Yeah, in that case, I don't think he'll be doing too much with the cue ball, probably leaving it where it is now, almost from the red.
6. Cheers.
So that is a shot. One cushion into there, and this could be a really crucial point of the frame.
It's not a huge target, though. He's got to be spot on.
Well, he's played it very well indeed. But is he on one?
Well, the only one possible is the red nearest to the pink of those 3. If that goes past the other red, then he's fine. I think it does. There you go. It does.
$11.
Still not in prime position though. That's the problem. Just one good pot again. He's almost done that last time on the brown, but he's still not quite in prime position. I think he's all right.
16.
Well, that was a good shot. Best shot of the day.
$17.
Well, it all comes down, I think, to that last red now. Last red. I say last red, of course it's going to be the last red once this one's gone. It's the red that's up here on the
22.
bottom cushion.
23.
And if he gets a nice angle on this red, the man in the chair would have thrown this frame away. So that's a nice angle. These can always be missed, of course, but I don't think he needs to play it with too much
29.
speed because he got a perfect angle on this.
$30.
What a chance. This is a natural angle to go from black to yellow off of one cushion. Green is not on its spot. That's the only other thing that he's got to just pay a bit of attention to.
37.
Usually it would be a simple shot to just flick up off maybe one cushion for where the green is on its spot, but he's got to give this a bit extra.
39.
Ronnie O'Sullivan looking on. He got a bad contact earlier this frame when he was looking to break the reds open. Made a difference.
42.
been a good break, a very good break.
$46.
That looks absolutely perfect to me. Just where you want to be. You can roll this in. It's got nothing with the cue ball at all to get onto the pink. And the frame is
51.
virtually in the bag. Never say never, because strange things have happened this week and in the past. But it looks great for a 4-2 lead.
57.
So just this black to reopen a 2-frame advantage with one more frame to be played this afternoon. And there it is.
64 in the frame.
A good 64 clearance from John Higgins after Ronnie gave him the opening. And so as we head towards another commercial break and 1 frame remaining, as I said, John Higgins once again 2 frames clear at 4 frames to 2. 30,000. But Ronnie O'Sullivan a little up against it here. He was 2-0 down. He's once again trailing by 2 frames. Really needs to win this last one of the afternoon session. Going into the evening 5-2 down would be something of a little crisis for Ronnie, although of course a possible 10 frames to be played this evening, remember.
Foul and a miss. Ronnie O'Sullivan
Missed
4.
by the thickness of a coat of paint, I suggest, but referee Jan Oman, under the rules, obliged to call it a miss because of course there are really plenty of reds there to aim for.
1.
Well, the cue ball's just short of speed. That will frustrate Ronnie again, because anywhere above the bulk line, and he's got plenty of choices. It's the previous shot just slid past the edge of the reds. Oh, that's frustrating for Ronnie.
Ronnie O'Sullivan 1.
You can sense that he's not at ease with himself at the moment. I think that last frame has hurt.
Yes, and Ronnie's temperament being what it is, you never can tell how he's going to react when he next gets to the table. John, a far more settled player.
1.
It's often how you cope with adversity, isn't it? Not just in snooker, but in most sports, which makes you the champion that you are.
Yeah, I mean, Ronnie usually copes very well with adversity, doesn't he? But just at this moment in time, he looks a bit vulnerable, because the game hasn't really gone his way.
5.
Bit of bad luck here and there, and a very good opponent as well in John Higgins. Someone
6.
that I know that Ronnie has a great respect for. Now, John will go into the pink here. He wants to hit this pink full in the face. The reds will spread everywhere.
$11.
It looks as though, yes, I was just about to say there's one at the head of the pack which will just go. There it is.
12. $19. $20.
John will go up for a lower colour than the black anyway from this red. He's got a bit of an angle on it. may take the pink, but the blue is also a strong possibility.
28.
Judge that pretty well. Very slight angle, enough to get him back down this end. It's a very good chance, this. When we first saw the split from the shot
33.
earlier on when he broke the pack, I wasn't so sure, but looking at the way the reds are, a golden chance to win the frame.
34.
Well, there's the trophy, which was first presented way back in 1982, and this tournament was called the Professional Players Tournament. Ronnie O'Sullivan's mentor, Ray Reardon, won it that year.
Yeah.
Took home the princely sum of
41.
£5,000.
Extension.
Not sure what happened there. I thought I heard Ronnie saying something in his chair to
Oh, sorry.
the referee, Johan Uman, getting involved from his seat, which I don't think he needs to be doing. Bit of a misunderstanding, that was all.
Well, here's that vicious-looking instrument, the extended spider, which nobody really likes using, but sometimes needs must.
We see that one about once a season nowadays. That implement, a bit like the swan neck, another implement that you use
42.
when you're queuing awkwardly. They're kept under the table, and there's a few cobwebs on them sometimes, I think.
That's why they're called spiders.
I like it.
$49.
But meanwhile, John goes on because there's enough loose reds here to win the frame and way beyond.
$50.
Well, John's reached the half-century mark for the 4th time already in this match. Could he be on his way to a 5-2
55.
lead going into this evening's session?
It certainly looks like it. Bits and pieces of work to do. There are two safe reds
56.
to the left of the black, as you can see, or they're fairly safe, although he won't be needing those. That'll be long past the point of no return.
$63.
Obviously plenty of snooker left in this match, but this is a handy lead.
64.
Not exactly a huge crisis with plenty of frames to be played tonight, but certainly food for thought for Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Now he's got on that bottom red, which is only potable from just about where he is, and I think the frame is in the bag,
71.
and there's a chance of a really big break as well. Nothing to threaten
72.
Barry Hawkins' 145 break from yesterday, but still a nice break on, which will please the crowd, please John as well.
Oh, John's had 3 already this week,
79.
with a best of 1-3-2 in the opening round against Paul Davis.
Yeah, he can't beat that here. He could make
80.
130 with a total clearance with blacks, with all of the remaining 2 reds after this black is sunk. Lovely shot. Beautiful little cannon, that. Judged to perfection.
87.
I don't think that 5-2 is a particularly unfair result. I think that's about
88.
how the match has gone. It's in keeping with the way the two players have played. I should think Ronnie, who's his own worst critic, will be, well, he'll be ashamed of himself because he hasn't played well by his standards, I might add. Not by other players' standards, but
95.
He'll be disappointed and disgruntled. I'm sure there'll be a conversation
96.
with Ray Reardon about what happened. And John's going to make a beautiful century here. This black goes in.
And there it is. The 323rd of John's professional career. And his 4th this week.
103.
And the 34th that we've seen from all the players. Oh.
John Higgins, 103 in a frame.
Well, it was a nice 103 up to the last red and colour, and the crucial thing is that it has opened up for the first time a 3-frame cushion for the Scotsman against the defending champion. 7 frames played this afternoon, a further 10 this evening, and you just saw the score for yourselves on the screen. A very satisfactory afternoon's work for John Higgins, because he goes into that evening session leading Ronnie O'Sullivan now by 5 frames to 2. And a warm welcome from me, Mike Smith, to the final session of the Grand Prix, coming to you live from the Preston Guildhall. It's Ronnie O'Sullivan, the world #1 and the defending champion, against the former world champion and twice the winner of the Grand Prix, John Higgins of Scotland. That's how they got there from the last 16 onwards. Ronnie O'Sullivan putting paid to Messrs Swale, Pitches, and yesterday Barry Hawkins putting up a brave fight. John Higgins coming through against Steve Davis, no less, Stuart Bingham, and yesterday against the mighty Stephen Hendry to take his place in this final. But look at the score there on the right hand side of your screen. 5-2. Hey, that's a very significant 3-frame lead for John Higgins. He won the first 2. Ronnie pulled back to 2 apiece, but John ended the session as he enters the arena 5 frames to 2 in the lead in this best of 17 frame final. It's the first to 9 who will take the trophy and the first prize tonight of £60,000. John Higgins comes into this final session with a substantial lead over the defending champion. Ronnie O'Sullivan being introduced to this capacity crowd here at the Preston Guildhall, which has seen so much snooker drama since the UK Championship was first staged here many years ago. But Ronnie has an uphill battle on his hands here this evening against John Higgins, who's had breaks of 68, 67, 64 and 103 in the last frame of this afternoon's session. Ronnie's had runs of 69 and 62, but it is he who really needs the better start tonight. The referee for this final, Johan Oman from Holland, in his first ever ranking event final, taking the place of Aaron Williams, who was originally down to take charge of Ronnie and John, but had to cry off with a bit of a cold. So, promotion for Johan. The trophy there on the edge of the table. It's got some great names engraved on it, I can tell you. Stephen Hendry, he's won it 4 times. As I say, John here twice. Ronnie just the once. When he won it last year, that was the first time that he'd ever lifted this particular trophy. Well, Ronnie was the odds-on favourite when play began this afternoon, but with a 5-2 lead, John Higgins, I should imagine, has come in on the betting, which is as good a time as any to introduce my co-commentator Neil Foles. Neil, you've been checking up on that for me?
Yeah, it's changed actually considerably. Originally 5-2 on for Ronnie O'Sullivan, 7-4 John Higgins, but completely the other way round now, about turn from the bookmakers, and it's 5-2 on for John Higgins and 7-4 now for Ronnie O'Sullivan. So a big change around, not surprisingly, a 3-frame cushion going into this session. Might be hard to peg back for O'Sullivan.
he looked a little bit out of sorts and a little unhappy with himself this afternoon, didn't he? Do you
he did.
think that whatever Ray Reardon, his mentor, might have said will be the important factor this evening?
I hope so. I hope that he gets his game back, because he did look a bit out of touch really for a while, and I don't think that anything sinister in this, but I would say at the end of the session they never actually shook hands, the two players. Maybe just they forgot to, whatever, even though it's not the end of the match. Usually at the end of a session both players will shake hands, but John walked straight off, but perhaps just a lapse in concentration, or maybe too much concentration on the job in hand was the reason for that. Maybe we'll find out if anything else was the reason behind it, but you're right, John played better this afternoon, and Ronnie was lacking in a bit of resolve and a bit of concentration, but that's why the final's over longer, 2 sessions to find out who is the best player, and there is still plenty of time for Ronnie to come back if indeed he's in the mood to do so.
Well, a possible 10 frames tonight. It could be a late night if Ronnie does get back into the match and it becomes a real ding-donger. Oh, a nice little nudge on the brown there. Not quite a snooker with 2 reds on the left-hand side of the table, but it stopped John coming up the right-hand side. There they are, but neither of them in a potable position.
Yeah, I think that maybe the first and second frames tonight will tell us exactly how this match is going to pan out, because of course if John wins them, he's well on his way. But if Ronnie comes out with a new-found determination, we're in for an absolute cracker.
One thing I can tell you, that John's official ranking of 6 has gone up as a result of him getting to this final, as we look at one of the options, playing off that red onto the top cushion and back to baulk. And there you see it. Well, he's put a little bit of side on the cue ball to take it over to the left-hand side. And that's an excellently judged strength on the cue ball from John. Yes, John's now risen back up to number 4. Of course, he's a former world number 1 when he won the world title. He reached that position briefly. But now back from 6 to 4. And of course, he could improve one more place above Stephen Maguire were he to win here tonight.
Safety shot was hit a bit too thin really, but slightly fortunately taking the pace off it by hitting the yellow on the way back to baulk, completely unplanned. It's given John a long pot. It was noticeable that of the 2 players, John's long potting was better than Ronnie's. He virtually missed everything at long range today, which is a bit of a shock. Don't normally see Ronnie have any real weaknesses in his game, but there was certainly one this afternoon in his long potting. Will John take on this red? There's one to the right corner. In fact, he may be screwing back towards the baulk area and taking this on. Well, he held for the blue. It's a good shot.
1.
He's got the right angle on the blue. He's a bit closer to the cushion than he would have wanted. Well, there's confirmation of what I was saying. 20% of his long pot's success rate for Ronnie O'Sullivan is woefully low by his high standards. That was where he wanted to be, where that circle is, to gain position on
6.
at least one red. It gives him a choice, actually. I think that the black might pot into the left corner, in which case, if he could just get in behind it, there's that red that he's dead straight on. I don't think he can get onto the black from that one, or indeed the other one is making things a bit tough as well. So even though he's nicely on the red, the colour is causing a little bit of a bother for him.
Seven.
That was a good shot, well guided through that gap, and once again perfect on the blue. So if you can only gain better position this time on a red, you may be able to pot the black afterwards. Let's see where he finishes up. He's walking around purposefully as if it's pretty good.
12.
Yep, he can get on the black this time, all right. Of course, in
13.
potting that earlier red, he cleared the black to both pockets. So that's a big help. What a chance.
$20. 21.
Now the red to the back and below and left of the black is the one. That one there. Once he takes that red on, he'll be away, and the black's body's very clear.
28. 29.
Very good opening red, which created this chance.
Yeah. 36.
Just the opening that John was looking for in an attempt to turn 5-2 into 6-2.
$37.
A little bit straight on this black. Got a slight angle. If he's going to play a stun shot, he's got to hit it quite hard.
$44. Extension.
I still remember their titanic clash in the final of the World Championship at the Crucible in 2001 when Ronnie took the title for the first time. John eventually
45.
succumbed to Ronnie's pressure, 18-14, but that was quite a humdinger of a final, that was. One of 36 previous occasions when these two have met in competition.
Nice shot again. Just managed to thread the cue ball in behind that red.
52.
Ronnie can do nothing about this. That's one of the things about snooker. When your opponent's at the table, you can do nothing, whoever you are.
$53.
Now, there's 5 reds below the pink in a little group. The bottom one of those 5 is likely to be the one he's going to play on. Little soft screw shot up the table, nicely behind that red.
60. $61.
Really can't see any way that this won't be a frame-winning break.
68.
Just this red needed, in fact.
$69.
So it's a great start. Once again, the knowledgeable audience at the Guildhall realise that that is frame ball. A very nice shot again, delightful little cannon. And this is
76.
just the kind of start that John needed. 3 frames in front going into this session. You realise that there was always going to be the chance of an O'Sullivan backlash tonight, but well, he stopped it at the first hurdle anyway, because this was a really good start to the break, and he potted a tremendous long red, and he doesn't look back at all. He looks in nice touch tonight.
$84. 85.
Well, a very big total on the table here. He's just gone down away from the black for the blue, but still 51 points on the table. So 141,
90.
which before yesterday would be equaling Barry Hawkins' highest break of 141. But of course, I did say before yesterday, Barry Hawkins, of course,
91.
provided us with what was his best ever in competition yesterday against Ronnie O'Sullivan. He got a 145.
$96.
Yeah, I think if it's going to be a total clearance, it'll be a tremendous break, because we've still got some safe balls, including that red you can see, which you're going to play on next. Brown's awkward and yellow not entirely straightforward, so it'll be a terrific break.
But there's the ton. And in fact, that makes it 2 in a row, because remember, let's not forget, he finished off this afternoon session with a 103.
John Higgins, 104 in the frame.
Well, he had to conjure some good shots in the early stages to clear the deck for the later ones. An excellent start to the evening session for John Higgins. Notice of intent from the Scot. He leads Ronnie O'Sullivan 6 frames to 2. Hall against John Higgins. The Flying Scotsman has got a 4-frame cushion now, 6 frames to 2. And remember, it's the first to 9. So Ronnie needs to get 1, if not 2, if not 3, pretty quickly here. Otherwise it could turn out to be a short evening. He's been playing catch-up ever since the start of this match. John took the first 2 frames before Ronnie got a couple on the board to draw level. But since then, John has taken 4 in a row. Well, that long one didn't quite make it, but it's finished pretty safe. But the big question now is, what can the defending champion do about this 6-2 deficit?
Yes, I mean, he was lacklustre this afternoon, but the first frame tonight, in all honesty, did nothing wrong. John got in from a very good long red, so we get to really work out the kind of mood that Ronnie's in tonight. Hopefully a very determined one, but like I say, the first frame tonight, he really had nothing to blame himself for. John faced with a safety shot where he won't really want to play the pack of reds. He may have no choice, but he won't hit them too thick, I don't think, and try and disturb them too much. Can go wrong. Well, it can also go right. I was going to say, it usually pushes the red over the pocket. That's pushed it straight in, and that's an horrendous fluke for Ronnie to deal with, because he's even played on and got on the blue, so he was very fortunate indeed there. That is a massive fluke. He actually misjudged that safety shot by a long way. When you're playing well, you normally get the luck, don't you? Here it is again. Hit the last red there. Very thick indeed. So much that the cue ball barely travelled past the blue spot.
Worked out well for him in the end, didn't it? And if this turns out to be a 1-visit big break again for John Higgins, Ronnie O'Sullivan will be seething.
That was just short of speed, actually. I think he'll be slightly annoyed with himself there. Red to the left centre's okay, but he wanted to be on the other 2 and stay around the black spot.
15.
It's just slightly drifted out of position. Can pot this red, but it's a little bit tricky.
21.
Once again, the pressure's starting to build up a touch in this break. Wrong side of the blue, but if he can just get through about a foot, then he can play onto that straightish red. And the kind of way he's cueing, you'd feel that he's a good favourite to pot this.
26.
Oof.
27.
94%, and the crucial thing for me is that 83 figure for Ronnie. When did you last see Ronnie O'Sullivan as low as that? And particularly, when did you last see his long pot successes as low as that?
34.
That's extraordinarily low.
35.
John means business tonight, there's no doubt about that. He looks very determined indeed. This break started with a fluke, but you have to take them when they come, because you can be sure your opponent will when the day comes when he gets
42.
good rub of the green. So John has to take full advantage, and he looks like he means it. Now he's just eyeing up a plant a couple of shots away. John just coming around to have a second look at it. Looks on, doesn't it? Possibly to the right-hand jaw as we look. I think he's got to finish right in behind it to be happy. Don't think it's in the centre of the pocket. Just a question of how far apart the reds are. Well, you can see there is a small gap.
He can make that one.
Well, he can. He can.
50.
But sometimes that gap, if it goes below about half an inch, then they don't always squeeze over. But I think this one is on.
51.
It was to that near jaw as we thought. Well, the point you made at the end of the last
58.
frame was that he'd made back-to-back centuries. And of course
59.
3 in a row would be really something.
Oh, he'd have some way to go to equal Steve Maguire's record, which was set up in the British Open down at Brighton
66.
last autumn, and he finished off his match. I think it was Anthony Hamilton, wasn't it? He finished off his match with Anthony Hamilton with 3, and the first 2 frames against Ronnie, where he subsequently won 6-1, made it 5 in a row. Nobody's ever done that before, albeit 2 different matches, but nonetheless 5 in a row. This is bad news, of course, for the defending champion.
Well, this is a crucial shot, the next one, because at the moment there is 67 points the difference, which technically means that he can tie the game, can Ronnie O'Sullivan. But if this goes in, we'll need snookers. He's done nothing wrong tonight, nothing at all.
72.
He may have intended to come out all guns blazing, but again, you can do nothing about it when your opponent is at the table and scoring.
Oh.
73.
What a
Wow.
shot. Well, he's given himself a chance to make 3 centuries in a row. If he can pot this and go into those 4 reds, he's absolutely perfect to do so. Now, how's his luck? Very good. What a shot.
80.
Well, the opening fluke apart, this has been dream snooker from John Higgins.
Yes,
81.
tremendous stuff. To make this 3rd century, he may have to move those 2 reds. I'm not sure whether they will pot. There's 2 reds below the pink there. I'm not sure that either of those pot anywhere. Well, that's why he's played this shot now. Oh, yes, I like that a lot. John was fully aware of that. Those two reds would not pot.
88.
This is special stuff.
89.
And here's the fluke again. Look at the red into the left corner. There it goes. But whenever that happens, we recall that perhaps the most famous fluke of all in 1983, as Ronnie continues to sit patiently waiting, when Cliff Thorburn fluked a red
97.
and went on to score the Crucible's first ever 147.
Tremendous. 3 centuries in successive frames. It's quite a rare feat, that is, in snooker terms.
105.
Well, I tell you, I wish he'd stop because I'm running out of space on my centuries page. 325 he scored in his competitive career. And that's the 36th that we've seen here at the Preston Guildhall this week.
I'm not sure what the stats are for 4 consecutive centuries in the same match. Of course, Maguire did his 3 and 2, adding up to the 5 in different matches, of course, on different days. But 3 successive centuries is a tremendous achievement.
120.
There was a real steely determination about him tonight when he came out. I did think that straight away. Firm handshake with O'Sullivan at the start of the match, and he's gone about his business in a very professional way. Another great shot. Round for the black.
131.
It's been a super break. Okay, we know about the fluke, but the rest of it has been top-notch stuff.
138.
Well, that's extraordinary. A 103, a 104, and now a magnificent 138 from John Higgins. 3 in a row, and already he is within 2 frames of victory. He now leads Ronnie O'Sullivan 7 frames to 2.
Kyle Pratt helped.
John Higgins in mercurial form here this evening on the final session of this Grand Prix at the Preston Guildhall. He started the evening at 5 frames to 2, having completed a nice century to end the afternoon, and he's begun this evening with 2 further centuries, and Ronnie O'Sullivan, the defending champion, is really up against it. John scored 345 points since Ronnie last scored anything. What an uphill task for the world number 1 and defending champion.
That's a very weak safety shot, and oddly enough, that long red was one that I thought that Ronnie might have gone for if he'd have been feeling more confident. But he's been sitting there watching for a long time. In fairness to O'Sullivan, at the end of that last frame, I saw him tapping the table. There is John Higgins Senior, who's of course enjoying this immensely, I should think, in the Players' Lounge. John's mother as well there,
8.
having a great time.
9.
But Ronnie did tap the table, or just tap his chair at the end of that frame, as if to say, well done to John Higgins. Nice to see. Just a small little mark of appreciation for what was a super break.
16.
Despite O'Sullivan's
17.
sometimes strange attitude, I think that he's a real admirer of John Higgins' game. He's always said that. He's one of the greats, and he respects him greatly. Well, that's where he wants to be, and he's absolutely perfect.
24.
Looking tremendous tonight.
25.
Will he go into the pack at an early stage? He's got 3 open reds. He could go into them. John choosing not to.
$32. $33.
They're not interested in the 147 possibilities. Early stages, of course, but he wouldn't put anything beyond him. And that's John's wife in the crowd.
$38. $39.
Well, he's going to take this pink on, and that red to the left of the table is the next one. Not sure where the pink will go, actually, whether it will go on its spot or in behind. I think the answer is in behind its spot. All spots are occupied, including the pink spot. So the pink has to go behind its spot in a direct line down the middle of the table, not touching that red.
45.
Thoughts just occurred to me, Neil. There might not be a mid-session
46.
interval. It's perfectly possible. And look at the points without reply. It's gone up to 391 now. It's perfectly possible for John to win this tournament with the first 4 frames. Has he had the luck? It looks like he has. And take the trophy at the end of the 4th frame of the evening.
53.
And that's the end of it all. The way he's going, I mean, when's he going to miss one? Fateful to say things like that, isn't it?
Well, it is, but I know why you're saying it, because he looks brilliant at the moment. He's got to take on a slightly tricky one here, actually. The one to the left centre is easier, but position not guaranteed. He's going to probably kiss into that red below it on the way through. He's not really sure. So what will he do? I think he's got to accept that he's going to cannon into that one in some way, maybe screw back off it. Well, the problem here
54.
is the fact that he was on the black very thin, but the red's in the way. So, a little bit of pressure on now. I mean, the way he's playing, he'll probably knock the blue in and clear up. But I suppose everybody misses sometimes. I just think he's got to take this on, the kind of form he's in, take it on full-bloodedly, probably get it. And if he doesn't get it, it gives Ronnie his first chance for an awfully long time. This is absolutely top-class stuff, isn't it? And really, if ever you're going to pop one of those, it's on the back of 3 successive centuries.
59.
Fabulous.
$60.
What do you think, Mike? This is as good as we've seen for an awfully long time.
This is awesome stuff. Awesome.
Pleasure to watch, actually. That's the shot Ronnie played, the opening shot, which
65.
cost him. It wasn't the best of safeties. It's probably the first mistake he has made tonight, and it was a bad mistake. It wasn't the most difficult of safety shots, but he'd been frozen out of the game. Nothing's easy.
66.
I think this even tops the display that we saw from Sean Murphy a few days ago against Andy Hicks. Andy took the first 2 frames, and then Sean just exploded after that and took 5 in a row in double quick time. It was unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, but this, as you say, is better. This is just, well, you just can't get better than this, Snooker. We're looking at the possibility of 4 centuries in successive frames. And I've never seen that in a professional snooker match.
Well, so far as I'm aware, the only person ever to do it. You remember Bob Chaperon?
I certainly do.
Well, it was 1999, and it was the... I'm trying to think of the name of the event. North America's something. North America's Tour event. Yeah, in Hamilton, Ontario.
80.
Bob won the British Open way back in 1990.
He beat me in that actually along the way. That's another story.
And Bob got 4 in a row in the same match.
Wow. He was a good player, was Bob Chaperon. But John Higgins is just
86.
something else.
Whoa, wowie.
I'm
He
pleased
held
that went
his
in.
breath for a moment.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see this now. And even Ronnie O'Sullivan, I think, would be cheering him on for this because the frame's long over. This is really special. Now, he's finished in between there slightly. That's a little bit annoying
92.
because he's neither on it in the middle properly or in the corner pocket. Go in.
93.
Fantastic. And he's on the blue, I think.
Yeah.
The audience are really having a great time with this.
As Terry Griffiths would say, he's seeing the pockets big as buckets.
Fantastic.
This
Well,
is just magic.
The red and the colour needed for something
98.
very special indeed.
99.
Well, I think he's going to do it, Mike.
I think you're right. 2 yellows. The yellow off the last red, and then it'll come back up again. Yes! 4 centuries in a row in the same match. And only Bob Chaperon, so far as I'm aware, has ever done that before.
103. 106.
With the unanswered points now are loads, 450 odd, I think.
You're absolutely right. And I think his dad's using the calculator on his mobile phone to work it all out.
110.
No, this is brilliant stuff, it really is. And he's in the zone now, more than ever before. The runaway train, as I called him the other day, is completely out of control.
Well, there's no
121.
way, surely, that Ronnie can possibly come back from this now. This is going to be 8 frames to 2. 1 more needed by John. A clearance again of 128. Extraordinary stuff, and that will find its way into the record books alongside Bob Chaperon's achievement in 1999 as John Higgins completes 4 centuries in a row to go into a lead over Ronnie O'Sullivan by 8 frames to 2. Champion here at the Preston Guildhall, looking as though he's on a real hiding here in the final of this Grand Prix. John Higgins producing some mercurial snooker here today, particularly this evening. He ended the afternoon session with a century break, and he started this evening with 3 further centuries to make it 4 in a row, and that is a remarkable achievement. And here he is in again, needing, of course, just 1 more frame for victory and the Grand Prix for a 3rd time in his career.
Yeah, I mean, poor old Ronnie, he broke off and just caught the first red a bit too thick, pushed the red down the table, and this is what we're seeing now. John in again. Well, John Higgins in the last 2 or 3 seasons, by the way, there is points without reply, 4, 7, 8 now, and counting. John Higgins has not had the wins in the last 2 or 3 seasons that a player of his standing would expect, but given that this is the first tournament of the current season, maybe he's in for an absolutely spellbinding run of form.
Yes, he's only had 1 victory in the last 3 seasons, you're right, and that was at the British Open near the start of last season. Been in a few finals, but surely now victory has to be his here. There's no way Ronnie's going to come back from this. Just far enough for the black.
I have to say, during those 2 or 3 years where he's been,
6.
relatively speaking, in the doldrums, I've never questioned the fact that he's a class player. Have you?
Not at all. He's one of the most watchable players. And remember that this is the guy who both last year and the year before provided us with a 147 maximum in this very tournament. So he certainly likes the Grand Prix.
Are we seeing a mistake? He's got a red on to the right corner, but the queuing is very awkward. Well, I'm not sure what the record is for points without reply, but whoever it was, I feel sorry for the bloke who was sitting in the chair through it.
14.
$487 it stands at. Not sure entirely where his next red will come from, because no angle on this and slightly difficult queuing as well to cope with.
$21.
Well, he's missed, and that is something of a rarity.
21.
He knew straight away that he hadn't got that one. I guess you have to miss a ball sometimes. The game just isn't quite that easy, despite how easy he's making it look.
Nevertheless, the points without reply came to 494.
And it's not over yet, of course, because Ronnie hasn't potted his first red.
He has now. He's not. Well, well, well. Thought that was in. What's going through Ronnie's mind right now? Remember, one of those centuries started with a fluke, a fairly outrageous one, and Ronnie had to sit that one out. He was a little out of sorts this afternoon, and we thought he might come back here raring to go. Oh, there's another one that John's just failed to put in the pocket.
Bit of bad luck, really. It looked in at the outset.
Yes, just as Ronnie's did into the opposite middle.
Quiet now.
Well, Ronnie's going to pot here, you would think, his first ball of the evening, and in fact, since frame 6, in fact, the start of frame 7, he scored 1 and had a foul of 4. There's nothing to write home about. What can he do?
1.
Well, he's nothing to lose now. He might just as well have a little bit of a crack and see whether he can amass a big break or two. Asking him to win 7 frames in a row
6.
is an enormous ask, even for Ronnie O'Sullivan.
7.
Get the feeling he's going to play onto the brown here and maybe take a chance at opening the reds from the brown off one cushion. No, he didn't
11.
do that. I was quite surprised. Not sure how he's going to get into the pack. There might be a red that goes at the base of the pack, but you can see Ronnie's not happy with that shot at all. Thought he had an angle to play on the brown, about half ball, the side cushion into the reds, but he's not played it. That red may pot to the right corner, so it could be that he's playing on that one. He's gone down the table very far, but if it goes, I reckon he'll have a swing at this. It does go. So I think he needs to get this, or it could be the end of the match, the way that John's been playing. Good shot.
16. Yeah. 21.
That's where he wants to be, from the blue.
22.
There are a couple of open reds. this is Sullivan back at the table after 487 points without reply from John Higgins. Tell a lie, it was 494 points. I think I might have 487 in my head for one reason, because we understand that that was the previous points without reply in a ranking event. That was Stephen Hendry against Anthony Hamilton. Well, we think it was against Anthony Hamilton.
33.
Well, Anthony was certainly on the wrong end of John Higgins' crucible record, which is 485, and I'm indebted to Chris Downer for that particular statistic.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ronnie has done well here, because if he's had a record against him that he didn't really want, he's come back in tremendous style. This is a good break.
41.
I think
42.
some players would have probably forgotten which end of the queue to use, having been sitting out all them points. We played that one badly. Oh dear, that's a mile away from what he played. He played the stun run through with 3 reds
49.
open. He'll be horrified by that shot.
Ronnie Sullivan, 49.
It really was a mile out. That's the worst shot he's played for a while. Here it is again. Just a bad shot. I don't think anything was wrong with the contact he got.
I think on that occasion that was played with a little bit of safety in mind. I think John would really love now to close down this match without having to go through the mid-session interval. He knows exactly what the situation is. Oh, through the gap, would you believe that?
Foul on the miss.
Yeah, that'll go straight back.
Higgins 4.
Straight back that's going. No free ball called.
Well,
Foul on the miss.
Once again, that'll go back as well, because there's no advantage for John in playing it from there. Problem here is because those 2 reds are so much in the middle of the table, makes things very difficult for Ronnie. Well, he's gone round again.
Foul on the miss.
That was virtually a carbon copy of the last shot. And the points are adding up. I just think he's got to keep going this way and hope to get a little clip on the edge and get the cue ball back to bowl.
attempt number 4. There you go.
That was the problem though, because the way he's played it to make sure he hit it, he's left John in. And
Settle down now,
he's
please.
not the man to leave in the balls at the moment. Yeah, good shot from John straight away, getting that red into play. That was going to be the only stumbling block, so this could be, as we see it again, and what a good shot it was, that is the end of the match. Still got to take them, but would you bet against him doing it, Mike, in this form?
Certainly not, thank you.
8.
It's been an absolutely awesome display from the Scotsman this evening. It's been a pleasure to watch it.
9.
Yeah, and I have to say, good to see him back to his absolute best after a spell where he's flattered to deceive, I think. Probably the best way to describe. He's made maximums, but I don't think his form's been tremendous. Just a bit of work to do here. Well, that's not bad. That little knuckle there didn't do him any harm. He's got to play
15.
one more good shot, I think, and if you can pot this red and screw back on a bolt colour, then I think that's the end of the match.
It would be easier if he were, as Ronnie is, ambidextrous, able to play this left-handed without having to use the rest.
Yes. Well, if this goes in, it's curtains. Fantastic stuff, really is. And
yeah, I'm just thinking about the audience. I mean, they're enjoying this, but they came here to see the thick end of 10 frames, and it looks as though they're going to go home after only 4.
Quiet, please.
Well, there's been very little that Ronnie has been able to do about this. He's not really done too much wrong.
yes, I know that Ronnie, as you pointed out early on, Mike, wanted to win
19.
every tournament he entered this season, but along the way there was always going to be something like this on the cards, where your opponent plays at the very peak of his game.
$24.
All he needs now is brown and blue, and he'll be crowned champion.
28.
Well, there's no way he's going to miss this blue. And his wife will be absolutely delighted with this.
33.
And there it goes. Well, he's missed it.
Ronnie Higgins, 33.
And Ronnie comes to the table needing a snooker. No, he's decided he doesn't want to know, and the match is over, and John Higgins